Welcome to the Creativity Shell Microwave Sweaters Sewing Project. If you're using the Creativity Shell Advanced Sewing Kit, your materials will require one 10 by 10 cotton fabric, one 10 by 10 quilted batting, a ruler, and a marker. Let's start with the quilted batting. You're going to need to find the center point of the fabric, and the easiest way to find this point is to fold the fabric in half and then fold it in half again. I'm using push pins to just identify my midpoints, and that's what you're going to need to do as well, or use a marking tool just so you can see where those midpoints are. Once we've located our midpoints, we're going to need to use our ruler and our marking tool to draw some lines down each center point. These lines are going to be the midpoints of our darts that we are going to need in our microwave sweater in order to make it curve. Draw each line about 3.5 inches down from the center point on each corner of your square quilted fabric. Once the center dart lines are completed, we are going to need to draw the width of the dart. Each dart is going to be 1 inch on each side of the center dart line. Use your marking tool and you can draw yourself just 1 inch. It doesn't really matter exactly which measurement you use on the ruler, it just needs to be 1 inch on each side away from the center dart line. If you used pins to mark your center points, please take them out at this point. Once you have the width of each dart completed, double check on your center dart line. We want the length of it to be 3.5 inches. So if you drew the line too long, use your ruler and just give yourself a mark point for 3.5 inches long. Once you double checked that the length of that dart is 3.5 inches, you want to go ahead and start connecting them with the width of the darts. This should come together and look like a V shape. Make sure that you do this to every side of your square so that in the end you have 4 darts all together. Once your darts are complete, you want to fold each dart together by using the midpoint so it looks like this. I'm putting a pin to hold mine together. And we're going to sew right along the length of this dart from top to bottom. Don't forget to backstitch. It is very important that you fold your dart line along the middle or the center dart, and when you're ready to sew, you sew each side of the dart individually and not together. Although you don't see me backstitching, I'm just doing this quickly to make this tutorial go a little bit faster. But when you're doing this at home, please remember to backstitch before you begin and at the end of each stitch. Remember, if your sewing machine has a cutting tool at the side of it, you can use it to cut your threads, or you can use a pair of scissors. Once you're finished, your quilted batting should look curved like this. At this time, also trim away all loose threads. Once the batting is complete, we are going to do the exact same thing to the cotton square. Go ahead and fold it into two halves and find the midpoint for your darts. I'm using a marker on this one just because this fabric is a little bit thinner than the quilted batting and it will be a little bit easier to see. Let's go ahead and draw some more dart lines. Remember, our dart line goes from the center of each side of the square fabric and the length of it is 3.5 inches. Once we have all of our midpoints, we are going to go ahead and draw the width of each dart. The width on each side of the dart is 1 inch. We want a 1 inch dart measurement on each side of the dart on each side of the cotton square. Once our dart lines are complete, it's time to go ahead and fold the side together and sew along our dart lines. When sewing darts, it is always best to start sewing from the top of the dart down to the bottom, as in you sew from the wider end of the V to the smaller end of the V. Because we have so many seams when sewing darts, go ahead and do some quality control at this point and trim away all of your loose threads. At this point, you should have your cotton fabric darted and sewn as well as the quilted fabric darted and sewn. Both of them should look like a bowl shape. Go ahead and place your fabrics together, right sides to right sides. Line up your darts so that the center darts of your cotton fabric match up along with the center darts of your quilted batting. If you find that your edges don't exactly match up perfectly, don't worry about it. We can trim off any excess fabric after it's sewn. At this point, we need to sew both of these fabrics together. One of the sides need to be left open so we can turn them inside out. And whenever I'm sewing something that has a square or a rectangle, I never like to leave my open points at the corners. So we're going to go ahead and leave a little opening in the center part of one of the darts. It doesn't matter which side, it just needs to be one of the centers. I'm drawing some guidelines with this so we can go ahead and stitch all around this microwave sweater, and we're going to leave an opening about 2 inches wide. Remember, when you're sewing and you need to turn a corner, leave the needle in the fabric, lift your lever, turn the fabric 90 degrees counterclockwise, put the lever back down, and start sewing again. You're going to need to do this about 3 times. Lift your lever, turn the fabric, put the lever back down, and continue sewing. Don't forget to stop at the point where you're going to leave your 2-inch opening. Once finished, go ahead and trim your loose edges and also miter the edges of your fabric. This is done by just cutting it on an angular shape along each corner. I also have a lot of excess fabric, so I'm just going to go ahead and trim some of it away because once we turn this inside out, it will make my corners look a lot smoother. When you're trimming away the excess fabric, be very careful not to cut into any of your seam lines. That will create a hole in your microwave sweater and you will have to go back and sew it again if there's a hole in it. Now we're ready to turn this microwave sweater over to the right side. From the small opening, gently turn the fabric to the right side. This can be done by just using your fingers and just pushing it out. Since we also have an opening, go ahead and just stick your fingers inside of it and try to poke out those edges as best as you can. If your fingers are unable to reach those corners, you can use a pencil or any blunt edge tool to go ahead and poke those corners out so you have nice sharp angles on the corners. At this point, your microwave sweater should look like a little bowl. The opening that we used to turn it over to the right side, we are going to go ahead and just stick the fabric back inside so that we can sew it closed and close up that area. Sometimes if you want to go all the way around with that top stitch, you can, but for this tutorial, we're not going to. Once you've closed your opening, just go ahead again and do some quality control and clip those loose threads. Congratulations! You just made your very own microwave sweater. These can be used when removing items from the microwave and they protect your hands from getting burnt. We hope you liked our microwave sweater tutorial. Thank you for sewing with us. And remember, be happy and create happy from the Creativity Shell.